days after a public apology and a pledge to roll out government reforms, President Park Geun-hye announces the first set of plans for amendment. Domestic spending may take a hit as the nation's population ages, one of the fastest aging populations in the world. What does Korea's golden years have in store? The focus is on government organization reform and uprooting malpractice and corruption. Dr. Kim Byung-ju has a closer look. Many travel goods make portability simplified. Hot items to make your life a bit easier and your luggage lighter. On Korea Today, Wednesday, May 28, 2014.
From Arirang News, this is Korea Today.
Thanks for joining us on this Wednesday edition of Korea Today. I'm Oh Jin-ju alongside Kim Min-jung and Kim Young. Today we start off with another deadly accident here in the nation.
That's right. This is the second deadly blaze this week following the one in Goryang bus terminal, which killed 7 and injured 41.
And let's get the details on that fire in this hospital. Shortly after midnight, a fire broke out at a hospital at Changsung in Jeollanam province, killing at least 21 people, most of whom were patients in their 70s. According to the Tamyang fire station, the fire was extinguished in the first 30 minutes, but many of the victims were affected by the smoke and gas that filled the annex of the seniors hospital, where a total of 34 elderly patients and 1 nurse were confirmed to be housed at the time of the incident. Most of the patients were believed to be suffering from dementia or recovering from a stroke, thus unable to escape on their own. A fire department official says the death toll is likely to rise as many of the injured are also believed to be in critical condition.
And in the aftermath of the Sewol-ho ferry disaster, President Park Geun-hye is on the move to materialize government reforms. During a cabinet meeting on Tuesday, the president announced that the current education minister will assume the status of a deputy prime minister to be in charge of policymaking in educational, social, and cultural affairs. The Ministry of Security and Public Administration will be reduced to an agency for administrative reform, with its government human resources transferred to the prime minister's office and new human resources or personnel reform agency. And as President Park mentioned last week, the Prime Minister's office will also be handling safety issues through a new national safety agency. The government will nominate deputy ministers to head the 2 new agencies following approval from the National Assembly.
The families of the missing passengers from the Sewol-ho ferry have agreed on cutting a part of the vessel to allow more access to the inside of the sunken ship. A lawyer representing the relatives said Tuesday the families were at first hesitant due to the likelihood of bodies being swept away in swift currents, but have agreed to break into the 4th deck of the hull after the search crews promised to place multiple nets around the area to avoid losing any bodies. Still, 16 passengers are missing and no bodies have been recovered since last week, as access to some of the parts of the vessels is blocked. Meanwhile, the families of the bereaved have visited the National Assembly to demand the ruling and the opposition parties to pass the plan to launch a parliamentary probe on the cause of the Sewol-ho ferry disaster.
Korea has one of the fastest aging populations in the world, but many are entering their golden years without being fully prepared financially. So what could be the cause behind this trend, and how could it take a toll on the nation's economy? For more, we're now joined by Arirang News' economics correspondent Hwang Jae here in the studio. Good morning, Jae.
Hi, Jin-ju.
So Jae, let's start off with just how fast Korea's population is aging now.
Yes, Korea's population is aging really fast. In fact, and an OECD report shows that Korea will have the world's 2nd oldest population by 2050, with the nation's elderly population, those over the age of 65, accounting for nearly 40% of the entire population. And this quick rising number of seniors is affecting domestic consumption as they're saving for their lives after retirement, which could continue on for 20 or more more years, starting from their late 50s to early 60s. But it seems like their savings aren't even lasting until they retire. Mr. Im is 92 years old and he retired about 20 years ago. He says he was lucky to be able to work until his early 70s, but that it was still very hard for him to save money for his life after retirement.
With a small salary, I had to put food on the table and teach my kids.
A new report shows sluggish domestic consumption is largely due to Koreans spending less to make sure they have enough tucked away for life post-retirement. The Korea Development Institute says that while the average spending index dropped for all age groups in 2013 from 10 years ago, those approaching retirement age were the most likely to skimp on their daily expenditures.
People who are closing in on retirement cut their spending and save more. That leads to sluggish domestic demand, and that hurts the overall economic recovery.
But the high cost of educating their children is forcing people in the 40s and 50s to put their hands on the money they have saved for life after retirement. While Koreans in their 40s spent an average of 14% of their disposable income on education over the past 10 years or so, Americans in the same age group spent a mere 2% of their disposable income. In fact, Korea has the highest poverty rate in the OECD in terms of the elderly. It stands at a staggering 50%. Experts say creating jobs and providing appropriate job training for the elderly is a way to solve the problem without burdening the government budget with welfare programs. Chu In-kwan, who retired after working in the banking sector for more than 30 years, is now giving lectures to students about how to develop their career paths. He says continuous efforts to improve his skills outside of work helped him get a new job after retirement.
I learned photography, Korean traditional mask dance, and other recreational activities, and I guess that helped me be where I'm now.
To think about it, Chu is one of the lucky ones, considering his health conditions. And experts actually say those who are unable to work due to their health issues should be provided with financial and medical support.
Right, and that is why experts are emphasizing the need for to strengthen the social safety net and also overhauling the nation's education and recruitment system. Now, all of these measures to support the elderly, would it come in line with other government policies to boost domestic demand?
Definitely. Experts say that coming up with concrete policy measures to address the aging population issue is key to boosting domestic demand, as all age groups will have to have more money to spend now rather than for later savings.
Right, and so long-term measures on structural reform will be needed. Thank you, Chia, for that report today.
Thank you for having me.
Good Wednesday morning. Let's run through the front pages of your newspapers. Now, more changes to the government have been announced by President Park Geun-hye, recognizing the need for fine-tuning control of economic affairs, diplomacy, security, and other policy fields as well. Let's take a look at what some of those changes will be on 중앙일보 now. And the headline reads, Park Geun-hye's responsible cabinet experiment. So in a cabinet meeting yesterday, the president announced several new transformations to be made. And as the sub-headlines mention, the education minister will assume deputy prime minister status and be responsible for education, society, and culture. The Ministry of Security and Public Administration will also be reduced to an agency of administrative reform and renamed the Ministry of Government Administration and Home Affairs. Now, the name it held back from 1998 until 2008. Moreover, the Prime Minister's office will head another new agency to be responsible for national safety. Now, the installation of a new deputy prime ministerial post is to be interpreted as a signal of changes in the style of Park's management in the form of a responsible cabinet. In the meantime, we'll take a look at this picture too. It's a shot of the ruling and opposition parties' leaders bowing to the families of the Sewol-ho ferry victims before their face-to-face meeting that was held yesterday. More than 130 family members who had visited the assembly demanded that ruling and opposition parties put aside their own political interests and reach an immediate agreement to start a parliamentary investigation into the disaster. And let's go on to another front page image on Joseon-ilbo. Over to India now. This is a shot capturing India's new Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Pakistan's Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif ready for their historic handshake at Modi's inauguration. The title of the picture says, Modi sworn in as India's new Prime Minister with Pakistani counterpart attending. Now, the caption adds that this is the first visit by a Pakistani Prime Minister to attend an inauguration of the Indian Prime Minister since the two countries won independence in 1947. The historic move has led to hopes of a thaw in relations between the two neighbors who have fought 3 wars since their independence. And next up is Donghwa-ilbo. We'll go ahead and look at that story in the corner there. This is regarding the latest on the search for Yoo Byung-an. Yoo Byung-an, the de facto owner of the operator of the sunken Sewol-ho ferry, is still on the run, but his eldest daughter has been arrested. The headline reads, Yoo Byung-an's eldest daughter arrested in France. Now, Yoo Sam-na, the first daughter of the 73-year-old patriarch, was arrested by French authorities in Paris, accused of tax embezzlement involving former affiliates of her father's company. She will be extradited to Korea as soon as possible in cooperation with French authorities, and it looks like that will take 3 to 6 months, according to the Daily. And finally, let's go and look at the economy news here in the Korean Economic Daily. We'll take a look at that story at the bottom there. And it's about the Korean economy. The headline says, Sewol-ho tragedy drags down the growth rate. And as you see here in the sub-headline, the Korea Development Institute has lowered its economic growth outlook for this year from 3.9 to 3.7%. In its report yesterday, the state-run research institute attributed its downward revision to sluggish domestic consumption due largely to the Sewol-ho ferry disaster. Now, if you take a look at this graph, the KDI is also forecasting a 2.7% growth of private consumption this year, which is much lower than last year's rate of 3.6%. It also lowered the outlook for facility investment growth from 8.4% to 8%. And that was a look at your newspaper headlines for this Wednesday. And coming up are the stock numbers from Tuesday.
Well, midday highs have been rising to the high 20s and even the low 30s in some areas of Korea. But the overnight lows actually get down pretty comfortable these days.
Nice and comfortable, yes. For a closer look at the weather picture in and around Seoul, we'll turn things over to our Chun Sung-cho, who joins us from the Yangjaechun Stream. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning, guys. I'm reporting live from the Yangjaechun Stream, and I think I'm having way too much fun trying to cross this stepping stone. Midday highs have been mostly higher than what they should be at this time of the year for quite some time now. And amid this spell of hot summer-like weather, yellow dust is being a bit of a nuisance to many people in Korea. Since 2 days ago, the entire country has been shrouded in light smog due to yellow dust blowing down from Mongolia and the northern part of China. Yesterday, the level of particulate matter in the atmosphere soared up to 208 micrograms per cubic meter in Seoul, which is about 5 times higher than average. And not only that, that an ozone advisory was issued around the western part of Gyeonggi-do province as midday highs surpassed 30 degrees Celsius in those regions. The good news is that the high pressure system to the south of Jeju is slowly drifting further away from the peninsula, causing the air currents to turn its course and eventually settling the yellow dust. However, this is taking place at a very slow pace, so keep those windows shut and try to wear a mask for your outdoor exercises until tomorrow. Now let's move on over to a closer look at today's forecast. It's going to be partly cloudy nationwide, and after showers of up to 10 millimeters are expected in some of the southern regions, as well as Gangwon-do and Chungcheong-do provinces, cooling things down a bit. Seoul, Daegu, Gwangju, and Daejeon's highs are the warmest at 28, while Gangneung is the coolest at 23 degrees Celsius. Thunder and lightning may hit some areas along with strong gust of winds, so keep that in mind as well. This is all for me with the weather update, and back to you, Minjung, in the studio.
Let's now get you caught up on the headlines from around the world. And for that, we will turn things over to our Eunice Kim, who joins us from the News Center. Good morning to you, Eunice.
Good morning, Minjung.
Now, just within the past few hours, U.S. President Barack Obama has announced a plan to significantly cut the U.S. Military presence in Afghanistan. Tell us more about this.
You're absolutely right about that. It's an announcement that's not completely a surprise, since President Obama did allude to it during his surprise swing through Bagram Airfield this past Memorial Day weekend in the U.S. The new plan entails formally ending America's combat mission in Afghanistan by the end of this year, bringing the curtains down on more than a decade of war. He said ending wars was harder than to begin them, adding that it was time to turn the page on a decade in which so much of U.S. foreign policy was focused on the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. And practically speaking, this will mean bringing most of the 32,000 troops home, leaving behind a non-combatant contingent of 9,800 soldiers to support Afghan troops in training and counterterrorism efforts. And by the end of next year, less than 1,000 American boots will remain in Afghanistan, though this plan is contingent upon approval by the Afghan government. And over in Ukraine, dozens of pro-Russian rebels were killed in the fiercest battle yet between separatists and Kiev's forces that began as President-elect Petro Poroshenko was giving his victory speech early Monday local time. A representative from the so-called Donetsk People's Republic told Reuters more than 50 rebels were dead in the fight near Ukraine's second largest airport in Donetsk. Bodies were still being recovered as corpses were stacked in a morgue, several missing limbs. Meanwhile, Russia's foreign minister Sergei Lavrov called on Kiev to stop the bloodshed, adding that Moscow was ready for direct talks with Ukraine's new president.
And finally, a story that's still very much developing, a political earthquake, if you will, is shaking European leadership following last week's EU parliamentary elections.
That's right. They're called the Eurosceptics, political parties on extreme sides of the political aisle who have been critical of the European Union, if not downright against it. They've usually remained in the fringes of political conversation, but now they're gaining a louder voice thanks to voters who are placing their support behind their candidates in that parliamentary vote that ended on Sunday. Thus, the tremors were felt. Far-right and far-left parties pushed to first place in France, Britain, and Greece, beating out traditional ruling parties and causing leaders to reevaluate business as usual. President Hollande admitted the union overcame the Eurozone crisis at the cost of disheartening the people. UK Prime Minister David Cameron said the EU had gotten too big and too bossy. But what this will mean in the long term for the European bloc remains to be seen. For now, that's a wrap of the global headlines we're following this morning.
And coming up later on Focal Points, the Sewol-ho ferry tragedy has uncovered many bitter truths, and at the top of the list came a plan for bureaucratic reform by the Park Geun-hye administration. We bring you the details of the overhaul with Dr. Kim Byung-ju. Stay tuned.
Known for his minimalistic installation pieces, the French artist Bernard Venet is a man who creates living art. And Lee Myun-hee joins us this morning with more. Good morning.
Good morning. So these living artworks, as they're called, they're actually huge steel cutouts. And now this artist has been shown all over the world, and he has an exhibition showing in Seoul with some very exclusive pieces that have never been seen before. Let's take a look. He's an artist who takes inspiration from something rather unexpected. Bernard Venet looks to mathematics for his ideas, as he feels the two are beautifully related. His large steel creations have been seen in some of the world's most recognized museums, and they're considered avant-garde designs, displaying genius in the field. They're all part of his grip series.
It's a problem because it's terribly heavy, not easy to handle, dangerous also. But I think that the result is giving me some satisfaction today.
Where it might look like complete chaos, comb through each piece and you'll see that mathematical figures, angles, circles, and arcs can be found in every inch of his creations. From the same country of France comes 6 more abstract artists. To some, it might look like just a few scribbles and blobs, but these artists are on the pioneering edge of their field, always discovering the new and the potential. A simplistic approach to the canvas sometimes inspires more ideas, but in any case, a variety of rather unique pieces are available to view in Seoul. In 2011, a devastating earthquake hit the coast of Japan, but it was what came next that laid ruin to hundreds of thousands of lives. The tsunami that wiped out everything it came in contact with failed to wipe out the memories of the people, and now one artist turns to those haunting scars and turns it into art by fixing, restoring, and reincarnating remnants of the past.
So these are actually pieces that used the scraps and pieces from the tsunami.
So he'll actually take furniture, he'll find pieces of wallpaper, paper that he finds laying around, just ruined, and he'll take and he'll put it together and he'll create this new work, and he considers artwork. But some actually refer to him as a historian because he is taking these pieces from the past and reincarnating them.
Reincarnating them and then pretty much putting it together so it lasts forever, basically, immortalizing it, right? He's 73 years old, but he shows no signs of aging. He doesn't look 73, and he definitely is working on moving those heavy pieces around, right?
Right. So he does want to create and mend in order to heal the people through his work. A lot of artists do turn to work to heal themselves, but not only themselves, but the viewers as well. And
well,
so it's
it looks like art is the fountain of youth for him, and it's a healing process for him as well.
Right.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us, Yuni.
My pleasure.
All right. And stay with us on Korea Today, because still ahead, we're going to be looking at some portable products, very minimized, and they're very small, easy to tote around. It can make the difference between a good trip or a bad trip, the size and weight of your luggage. And spring is in full swing, so we're going to take a look at some of these things that you can carry around for your outing. So pack light, find out what's more.
The 2014 Baeksang Arts Awards was held yesterday, and it was a star-studded event. Many actors and actresses were in attendance. Quite a scene.
It really was. And the grand prize went to Song Kang-ho and Jeon Ji-hyun in the film and television categories, respectively. For more on the event and other keywords, let's go over to our Seo Mi-sorang at the digital room. Good morning, Mi-sorang.
Good morning, that's right. And in the TV category, the grand prize went to Jeon Ji-hyun for her role as Chun Song-hee in the popular series My Love from the Stars. This aside, let's see what else grabbed people's attention the past 24 hours. A letter written by Admiral Lee Sun-shin had been released, with many commenting on the legend's handwriting. Idol singer Suji attended a Dodgers game in LA, and the Shinsegae Group will launch a chain of convenience stores from next month. In a nation first, the franchisor will have the sole rights over both sales and operation. Entertainment news, the Kara project that we first looked at 2 weeks ago aired its first episode yesterday.
and the 50th Baeksang Arts Awards, as we mentioned earlier. Now let's go back to that letter. It was handwritten by Lee Sun-shin to his friend during the Japanese invasion of Korea in the 16th century. Let's take a look. The letter was written in October 1592 when Lee Sun-shin was a commander of the left Chola Navy. It was addressed to his friend Kang Eun-pang, a Confucian scholar. Now, the contents of the letter was already known to the public through photo prints, but this is the first time that the original letter, handwritten by Lee Sun-shin himself, has been revealed. The letter is partially burnt at the bottom, but overall, it is in fantastic condition given its 400-year age. The letter was preserved by descendants of Choi Gyun, a famous general of that time. Now, there's not that many original copies of Lee Sun-shin's letters in existence, and according to experts, this letter shows the admiral's handwriting most clearly, which is characterized by his powerful and majestic penmanship. Moving on to Suji, the popular actress and Miss A member, was seen at the Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles. She was cheering for Ryu Hyun-jin in his match against the Cincinnati Reds. Let's take a look. Suji was the picture of an avid fan. Donning a Dodgers shirt and cap, she held a signboard that read Dodgers Heart Ryu 99, Go Ryu Hyun-jin. She cheered the Korean monster on, who took the mound that day as the starting pitcher. The LA Dodgers had invited Suji to throw the opening ball for its match against the Cincinnati Reds on the 29th. Following the match, Suji praised Ryu Hyun-jin's sacrifice bunt and pitching skills, adding that although it was just shy of a perfect game, Ryu showed immense skill and that she had a lot of fun. Ryu had previously mentioned in his interviews that he would like Suji to throw the opening ball at one of his games, and it looks like his wish will soon come true tomorrow. Meanwhile, Park Geun-hye will throw the first pitch in today's match. He was the first Korean-born player in Major League history and a former Dodgers player himself. That's a wrap up for today's News Sum Up. Please take care. I'll be back tomorrow.
As you heard in our headlines, President Park Geun-hye has announced reform measures to the government structure, including adding a new deputy prime minister, signaling changes in our management system. The president has also been vowing to overhaul the bureaucracy in a bid to eradicate corruption and malpractice. So this week on Focal Points, we'll talk about the government's reform measures. And as always, Dr. Kim Byung-ju joins us for more on that. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Hopefully we'll make this what seems to be a kind of like boring subject interesting here this morning.
Hopefully.
But very important here because the 19th, the presidential address to the people, she expressed her firm determination to change the government from the bottom up. And basically, she talked about several key points about creating new organization by merging functions of some of the organizations that have not been working as effectively, starting with the Coast Guard. Coast Guard will be disbanded, as we all know. And some of the key functions of the what has been so far, the Ministry of Public Safety and Administration, they'll be losing some of their functions. And the Prime Minister's office will significantly gaining overall, like a new kind of overall coordination effort.
That's right.
So this will be altogether very interesting, work that will be done. Let's bring up the visuals that we have prepared so that we can explain to our viewers what will be exactly happening here. This is, of course, the 19th presidential address to the people here, and she expressed her firm determination, and she was promising to the people that she will really create a new kind of government. And the public safety functions, they have been all spread around to different areas, and especially maritime safety. The Coast Guard has been the main actor, but Ministry of Maritime Affairs or Ministry of Ocean and Fisheries, they had some functions, and other ministries had those, but they're going to be merging those. And also the organizational planning and personnel planning, originally when President was talking about it, they're gonna the Prime Minister Prime Minister's office was going to get the personnel planning and organizational planning. But yesterday, new announcement came along with the announcement about creating the new Deputy Prime Minister. The organizational planning will remain within the public administration. So people are speculating, is this the bureaucratic resistance against presidential will here? And is this a compromise that's happening within inside the government? I think we'll have to wait and see on that one.
A lot of things in the works and a lot of plans to get to, but will things be able to take shape quickly? And the question is, will it work effectively? And also, it came in a bit of a hastily manner, so and there is a lot to get to. So the question is, will we be able to get to those?
You mentioned hastily manner, and I think that's the key point, because the president really wanted to tell the people, the real changes that she wants to introduce. But people were all they were asking for a quick presidential address. So she had to put in these kind of important points in her address. So as you just mentioned, it was a little bit hastily prepared, I suppose. And bureaucrats are saying that because of that, we need to be open-minded about this, and we need to make some compromise from what President has already talked about. And so one of the compromise, I suppose, is the idea yesterday that organizational planning will remain within the original ministry. But however, though, even though this could this looks risky in terms of pushing ahead with this plan as a whole, Korean people know this is absolutely necessary step. Because so far we understand all these government failures leading up to the Sewol tragedy, for instance, is something that we cannot walk away from. So there seems to be enough of a public consensus behind the presidential initiative.
Okay, so that is on the ball is rolling now, and then she is coming out with these measures, but reform measures within civil servants. Now, I can't speak for everyone, but the majority of civil servants, they do their jobs, they work hard, they persevere. But at the same time, there are those few who do fall in the line of corruption, right? And the key word, I think, this year, in the wake of the Sewol-ho ferry accident, was mafia or bureaucratic mafia. Can you explain that for us?
Right. Personally, I don't like the expression mafia, because in the part of the world that I know, mafia means crime and illegal activities, and that's not it here in Korea here. And when we say bureaucratic mafia, it just means elite network that expands beyond the border of the government and into the private sector, run by this ex or current government officials, kind of like human network that has potential for collusion. Not necessarily like illegal activities here, but just they say it's a more effective for cooperation and effective communication. It's better for them. But people outside of this network see possibilities and potentials for collusion. That's why that's why probably they're calling it mafia. But it's not.
No one's
criminal.
getting killed here or anything.
No drugs here.
So it's a bit of a
drugs.
misnomer.
Right.
Yes.
But the thing is, President seems to be quite firm about her determination to change this overall culture, because we need greater openness and transparency in this society and the sense of justice here. And as a result of this kind of collusion and cooperation becoming like, action of missing their duties and responsibilities, we realized we ran into this great tragedy of Sewol, for instance. So President seems to be quite determined to change that. So let's bring up the visuals here in terms of like explaining what's exactly going to happen. President announced that she wants to see the government officials exam eventually being abolished. This is a long tradition that we have had in Korea for a long time, but she was saying that by year 2017, at the time of new hiring, we want to hire new government officials as an interim measure here. By year 2017, we want to hire half of the high-level officials through this exam, and the other half through just the hiring of the professionals. And eventually, this government higher level officials exam will be abolished. And during the time when we manage this kind of related organizations, private sector organizations that are involved with the public safety measures, as well as certification and procurements, they are going to make sure that government officials who used to be actually managing these organizations will not get their jobs. And for the entire pool of government officials, so far, there have been about 4,000 different organizations where the designation has been made so that government officials could not get their jobs after their retirement in those 4,000 organizations. That number for those organizations will be increased by 3 times, 12,000. So greater restrictions on the government officials as well. So a lot of things are being introduced as a new measure.
That's right. And because of these new measures coming in such a rapid speed, the Coast Guard, the disbanding of the Coast Guard, for instance, it was announced on the 19th. I believe on the 20th, the entrance exam to the Coast Guard was supposed to take place, and then it got canceled, and then it eventually did take place, I believe. And also the government exam, the government entrance exam for level 5 government employees. That's people are a bit confused about that as well.
Absolutely. We have places called exam villages, right? 고시촌 in Noryang-jin and Sillimdong. Let's bring up the video clips here, and we have some interviews asking these young people who have been preparing for this high-level government officials exam.
Hearing that these sudden policy changes will be taking place next year is very disconcerting for people preparing for the exam.
A lot of people decided to give up after the announcement. People are getting restless around Gosichon and areas populated by private institutes.
Many people began preparing for the level 5 government exam after the bar exam was abolished. I hear that even that exam will be scaled down. I don't know what to think.
So basically, these young people are so unhappy. They're now, doing the petition thing. They're signing up their names, asking the government not to abolish.
Because we're talking about people who have spent years and years studying for the same test.
Many years for some people, indeed. Some lucky ones pass these exams like after 1 year of preparation, but I think majority passes like after 2 or 3 years, and sometimes many of them cannot even pass after 5-6 years of preparation. So
some
for them,
even a decade.
For them, their youth dreams kind of being wiped out once this exam is abolished. So there is a great level of unhappiness and anxiety. But the thing is, President is saying that, okay, people who are hired through this kind of exam system itself, they're just flat generalists. But this society is changing fast, and this time what we need is the experts and professionals who have built their careers in their specific areas. And we want to invite them into the government and have them work in those related areas so that they can further show their expertise and contribute to the government affairs, rather than just waiting for these youngsters who have just passed the exam, who are journalists, to become experts. So that's the overall idea here.
And they're going to have to come out with a system to cater to those people who have been spending an immense amount of time preparing for that as well. But now, all these reforms and restructuring, I'm pretty sure the whole nation agrees that it's necessary.
Right.
But as noble as the concept may be, can it be carried out?
I think it will be carried out in a big part, but however, my big concern is the supply of the talents here, because as you put this kind of new restrictions for the government officials' career, their post-retirement career, they cannot do all these things after your retirement, that really takes away big incentive to become government officials. So these young elites, future elites who are thinking about government jobs, will they be attracted to serve in the government? When government in their current jobs are not paying as much for their services. And a lot of people actually think about post-retirement career and all that. A lot of things go into their calculation, including pension fund as well. Now they're talking about reforming pension. Now they're talking about restricting post-retirement job search. And now that they're still going to continue the low pay of the government officials when they're in their position. So where's the incentive for smart people to join the government? That's going to be a big challenge for the nation as a whole. And when we have not so smart people running the government, we will continue to have great troubles. And the president is saying we're going to hire professionals from the private sectors. But when these private sector professionals see this prospect of government jobs so being limited, are they going to join the government laterally? Probably not. So there is that dilemma of supplying talents here in the government while we see this need for reform.
You do ask some thought-provoking questions there. Thank you, Dr. Kim, as always.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
And good morning to you all as we kick things off in the majors where LA Dodgers lefty Lee Hyun-jin went after his 5th win of the season, this time against the Cincinnati Reds, and boy was he close to pitching a perfect game. The first 21 batters he faced in the game, Lee Hyun-jin retires all 21 batters, including 7 strikeouts. And while fans at Dodger Stadium were looking for their second straight no-hitter, Todd Frazier led off the 8th inning of the game with a double, breaking the perfect game. Now, Lee Hyun-jin would finish off after 7 1/3 innings, giving up 3 runs on 3 hits, but still earned his 5th win of the season as the Dodgers won the game 4-3. And now moving over to football, where the South Korean national football team is set to face off against Tunisia later tonight in their tune-up match before heading over to Miami, Florida for their overseas training. Now, Tunisia might be ranked number 49 in the latest FIFA ranking, but Korea should have no problem facing off against the team. But the manager Hong Myung-bo stated on Tuesday that they need to work on their defense and defending from set pieces will be important. He added that not getting hurt before the World Cup is the most important thing, as the match is set to take place at 8 p.m. at the Seoul World Cup Stadium. And moving over to some Tuesday night's KBO action, the NC Dinos offense kick it up a notch, beating the Hanwha Eagles 18-9. The Kia Tigers hold on to beat the Tucson Bears 8-5, and the Nexen Heroes win one over the SK Wyverns 10-5. Meanwhile, let's take a look at these Samsung Lions go for their 12th straight win, this time against the LG Twins. Of course, going into the game here, second inning of the game with man on second, Josh Bell singles to the right side, and the LG Twins take the lead 1-0. The next play, Kim Yong-hee with an infield single here. This scores Josh Bell from third base, and it's now 2-0. Third inning of the game, more from the LG Twins. This time, Chung Sung-hoon with an RBI single to center field, and it's now 3-0. But here come the Samsung Lions, 5th inning. Lee Ji-young with an RBI single to left, and it's 3-1. 6th inning of the game, Choi Tae-in this time. Singles to the left side, deficit cut to 3-2. 7th inning, Kim Sang-soo this time, sac fly to left field, and we're tied 3-3 before Navarro with a clutch single to left field. Lee Ji-young scores, and the Samsung Lions have the lead 4-3. But we go over to the bottom of the 9th inning, men on first and third, a wild pitch. Lee Byung-gyu scores, and we're tied 4-4. Next batter, Chung Hee-yoon this time, and he's going to single through the right side. Paek Chang-soo scores. Ball game over. The LG Twins win it 5-4. And staying with the KBO, the 2014 KBO All-Star Game is all set to take place on July 18th, and the venue for the annual event is all set. Of course, the event will take place in Gwangju this time at the brand new Champions Field where the Kia Tigers play their home games. This is the first time in 5 years that Gwangju is hosting the annual summer event, and also the 5th time that the Kia Tigers are hosting the All-Star Game. Meanwhile, the Futures League All-Star Game will take place on the 17th before the KBO teams split up for the KBO All-Star Game. And that's going to wrap it up for me. This has been SJ. Have a great rest of the day, and see you guys again for your sports needs.
The weather is just absolutely beautiful these days, and if you want to be outdoors and enjoy the sun and everything, you have to bring so much along, and those things can be quite bulky.
Yeah, there's a hassle to bring and carry all those stuff. So this makes us think about something minimal and practical and portable. And today we have just that for you with Angela Park and Young Kim over there in the studio with the items.
Good morning to you guys.
Good morning. Well, good morning to you. We already said good morning, but good morning to you.
Good morning to everybody. It's my first time.
All right. Well, as Jinju and Minjung mentioned, going outdoors, I don't know about them, but I travel very light. It is very tough if you have to travel with a lot of bags filled with amenities and all kinds of stuff, right?
Absolutely.
So we're going to talk about traveling a little bit light and introduce some items that's going to help you travel light. Take it away.
Weather's getting so nice. Camping is actually becoming quite the trend here in Korea. In fact, they have like restaurants that imitate even camping, right?
Glamping.
Glamping, that's right. So for all you people out there who want to do the camping roughing it experience, but still want to look good and polished, we have our first item. This is the Quince portable, basically, I should add in, styling iron.
Okay, it's a hair iron for
Yes.
you campers out there who want to curl that hair out there right underneath that tent.
That's right. It's very easy. It's wireless, obviously.
Okay.
You charge it up with rechargeable batteries.
Batteries. I've
Yes.
seen the gas-powered ones. But the battery ones, they actually heat it up well enough.
Yeah, it's strong enough to do that. It's very easy to operate. There's a little button, I don't know if our cameras can pick up, right along the side. You press it once, it shows you how much battery you have. It's fully charged right now. And then we also press it twice for the low heat or middle heat. I pressed it actually, and then you can go even as high as the third power. And basically it takes about 30 seconds to heat up, 35 roughly. But
fast.
it's pretty fast because it can heat up to about 210 degrees Celsius. You take it and you can be out there in the outdoors, but go ahead and style your hair. But the key here is that a lot of these styling products, they use aluminum plates, and this is overheating system. Now, if you know your styling products, it's horrible for your hair. Now, the unique thing about this Quinn styling thing is that it's a single heater integrated silicone plate, which is a lot better for your hair. Now, Young, I know that you're kind of confused.
You've
but,
lost me
but
about
girls, we know
single
that
plates ago.
it's better than aluminum because aluminum tends to fry your hair.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they use aluminum because it tends to conduct more heat, but this is better material for your
For
hair.
your hair, right, right. And so it's very convenient to look good, while at the same time, it's easy to use. It can stay on for about 30 minutes at maximum heat
All right,
on one
so
charge.
ladies, I'm sure you'll
Sure.
be interested in
Just
that.
because you're outdoors doesn't mean you can forego the curls, right? You just have to always look good, no matter what.
Well, let's move on to something a little bit more practical. How's
Okay.
that?
Okay, sounds good. What is more practical than water, right? We need water.
Yep.
Now, unfortunately, there are areas that maybe we don't have like drinkable water on hand. And so we have our next product. This is Purifier by Water and People. In fact, this is actually being exported to outskirt areas of Africa where we can provide some drinking water for them.
So where's the purifier?
Okay, so first of all, you see the dirty water, right?
Okay, well, our viewers need to see it. There's the dirt has actually settled, so
Ew,
we'll pick that up
Young.
there.
You're gonna make that into...
Don't do that. Okay, so Young has so
that.
kindly done that for me. I'm going to put this up here so our listeners, our viewers, that is, can see it. But this is the exact same dirty water. Could you mind holding that for me?
Okay, so you want me to stir this too?
Young,
Here it
come
goes.
on.
What is in
Fun
this, by the
doing
way?
that, aren't you, Young?
Do I not want to know what's actually in this cup?
It's river water, literally river water.
toilet water.
So I'm going to go ahead and put it in. Would you mind pouring it in for me, Young?
I'll do that.
And as he pours it in, our viewers can see that this is actually the magic maker. This is the filter. Now, it's a three-step process. So as I go ahead and put that in, let me explain. Ooh, a little bit overflowing there. Ooh, now I have young finger hands.
It's not my fingers you should be worried about.
But this is the filter. It's a three-step process. There's a charcoal net. That's the first step. So the water enters through, it gets filtered. Then there's these ceramic antimicrobial balls. Now this plays a role of removing viruses or bacteria to make the water a little bit more, obviously, healthier for us. And the final step is a last filter, and it's actually a coconut shell activated carbon filter. Now, that might sound like a mouthful, but basically it means that there are three very efficient steps to take dirty water and make it drinkable for humans. So now
So
we have
all those things are in that little blue tube.
Yes, and we
Okay.
put a little too much water. I got a little overly ambitious, but you see there's a pipe, right?
You just go ahead and just drink straight from there?
No, well, technically you can actually, yeah. But no, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and start this up, make sure that there's some water power. There we go. And pour it in. Oh, I was a little bit nervous about getting this
Isn't
on
that
the
the
first
same
try.
cup you had the dirty water in?
No, it's the clean cup.
Okay,
Dirty
good.
water cup is right there. But if you see, you guys saw it was dirty water. But after being filtered, it's clean.
Wow. Is
So you
this
can compare it.
scientifically proven?
Wow.
Wow.
Minjung, would you like to test it? It'll be Minjung proven.
You know what? I think we'll take your word for it on that one and have a taste of the water later on.
There we go. But
All right, that's
anyway,
great, though.
it's an option for you, right?
All right, sounds good. A portable water bottle filtration system.
All right, so moving on to the next one. Water is more of a necessity.
This is a luxury.
This is definitely a luxury. Selfies, taking pictures. Now, I'm sure I actually recently went on a trip by myself, and I realized that one of the downfalls of this is nobody's there to take pictures for you, right? You have to take selfies, and your arm can only extend out so far. So this is the shutter ball, and this helps you basically connect with your smartphone through Bluetooth, and you just hold this. You can set up your camera elsewhere, hold this, press the button, and it takes the picture.
Wow. All right, so basically it's a remote control system, and it connects with your Bluetooth.
Yeah, you just have to download the application. So let me show our viewers here. It's called Shutter Panorama. You just download it, and I'm going to open it up and put it to the camera function. So Young, you have the shutter ball that's connected. That's the exact one. So go ahead. Take a picture.
Now, why don't we show our viewers? I'll take a selfie like this or something.
But show them that you're pushing the shutter ball.
Ready?
Right, well,
ready? One.
make Angela hold the phone maybe.
There, why don't you hold the phone?
There we go.
All right, ready? 1, 2.
So you can do it from a distance.
Oh, there it is. Oh, it's recording. It's on video.
Oh, it's on video.
So you can record video too.
There we go.
And then if you want to shut it off, you can just press it again, right?
Yes. So, and then if you go through the pictures, you'll see that basically Young took this, right?
All right. Well, all right. That's a video. It turns out good. And this is perfect. I've seen so many people try to look for ways to take that selfie or the group selfie, right? And you just don't have a way to reach out there except set it on a timer. But this way you can go ahead and take multiple shots instead of just using one single timer.
Not only that, but have you ever been in a situation where you have a group photo and every single person wants a picture taken with their phone as well?
Right.
And, you know? But this, you can set up to 5 different phones.
With one module.
With one shutter ball. So one button takes it with all 5 cameras. You could actually get different angles if you want as well, or cover all your bases. It uses a broadcasting technology, linking up networks there.
Okay, so and it works on Bluetooth, so it pretty much works with any smartphone out there,
That's right, that's right. You prefer the black, not the pink?
I just saw Young put it in his pocket.
I saw it too. Don't worry, I'm going to get that back later.
Okay, so now we're going to luxury, and we're going to another form of luxury. Explain this to me, please. It looks like an electric toothbrush of some kind.
I do not recommend you putting that in your mouth because this is a portable bidet. Young's face is like...
He's confused.
A portable
and so am I.
bidet. I mean, can you...
Yes.
Right.
Exactly, right? Bidets, you can pretty much see it in every, even public restrooms here in Korea. It's a very popular and common sight. But when you're going outdoors, we don't have our toilet to take with us, right? And so this is a portable. There's no battery. There's no power required. It's very eco-friendly. You just put water in there, and you're going to twist it to pressurize it, and then you push a button right here, and that is going to squirt water. I don't want to spray Young there. So we have prepared for our viewers a little sample here. Okay. So if you notice, we put some paint. Are you serious? I know we're being creative, Young. Just bear with me, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead.
Are you allowed to do this?
This is too graphic. I am telling you, this is.
I gotta make sure to pressurize this well. Okay. So. Then, Young, I don't want to get you, okay? We're gonna spray this. Whoa!
It's pretty good. The
and
pressure
you can
is.
wash and use this as a bidet.
All right.
Okay, you ready?
Wait.
Young,
aim it right.
I aimed it wrong last time. I'm sorry. Here we go. Oh wait, there we go.
The pressure is quite strong too.
As a bidet. Oh, that's a lot of water.
All right, and if the kids don't have anything to play with, then you could just give it to them. They could use it as a squirt gun, right? Just some entertaining fun.
No, but actually, we were kind of making it, we're making a few jokes about it. But for mothers who, not even camping, but you take your children out and they do their business, and sometimes it's not enough just to have wet naps, right? In fact, our writer was telling us right before the show that this is one product that, as a mother, is a very practical uses for it. So can you not put it into our drinking water, Young?
Okay, well, and yeah, we're not going to drink that water here on the show, but yeah, all right, there you go. A portable bidet for your camping needs, and we have it all solved right here, just in case you run out of that toilet paper.
Our balloon is very clean now.
All right, well, sounds great. We had to look at some very interesting items. I think this one would interest all the ladies over here. The bidet, I'm not sure, but this one I really like.
No, Jinju's birthday is coming up soon. I think that
Right.
bidet might be on the list now.
Bidet. I'm
I am
afraid to
getting
use
that
that
for you
one.
for
The
your
pressure
birthday.
is too strong.
The pressure is too strong, she says. All right, that's just about it for this edition of Korea Today.
We'll be here again tomorrow at 7 a.m. Korea time. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.
See you tomorrow. Bye.